We have seen previously how woefully inadequate our current road and vehicle system is in respect to delivering what could be considered a perfectly reasonable set of expectations for transport in and around our towns and cities, particularly given the enormous costs involved. Thankfully, technology is now in a position to alter this situation for the better and in the process deliver a broad range of very significant benefits to the vast majority of society, especially those that require the use of second-class public transport. However, it would not be possible or sensible to wholesale change all of our towns and cities to become level 6 zones simultaneously, whatever the size of the rewards. It is practical and affordable to develop the necessary control technology, infrastructure and vehicles to undertake a couple of city pilots, probably in less than 10 years. The pilots will require a number of things to be developed in parallel in order for the system to function. There is power distribution and charging infrastructure to build. A quick calculation of available power generation and usage today suggests that full-scale fleet charging, if done outside of peak use times, could be accommodated with no additional capacity required. That will not be the case if the vast majority of vehicles continue to look like they do today and are charged in an uncontrolled way as they are today. The intention to create a fleet of vehicles, designed with standard interchangeable batteries, would provide a much-needed demand signal to potential UK battery investors. There will also be multiple support functions to set up and operate and a relatively complex control system to design and run. A fleet of vehicles will be required to replace buses and suitable interface developed so users can interact with the system to book journeys. For any pilot, it is going to be essential that all vehicles can be accommodated, so it is useful to spend some time considering road usage needs and specifically how these might be met. Firstly, let's take a look at public transport. What people need is point-to-point travel from their current location directly to a new location. The only reason people choose to use a bus is because they have no affordable or logistical options to use a car. DVLA survey data shows the vast majority of commutes are single occupancy, which makes complete sense given that most people don't live with someone who works or studies in the same place as they do. However, does it make any sense that the average motorist moves about 1 ton of superfluous steel and plastic, over 4,000 miles each year, completely unnecessarily and at obvious high cost and carbon impact? Most cars are designed to carry multiple people and luggage several hundred miles. Most journeys are only a few miles and only one person is involved. Why not design public transport to meet the needs of the people that are using it and at the same time provide an incentive to switch away from higher carbon emitting conventional vehicle usage? A fleet of 1 and 2 person vehicles will provide the vast majority of public transport needs. Smaller vehicles cost less money to build and run, require less energy to use and have a lower carbon footprint. There are absolutely no reasons why the vehicles cannot be designed with a 50 or even 100-year lifespan. For those living within the central control zone that do not wish to part with their non-level 6 compliant personal vehicles, automated skids will also need to be developed. The requirement for this service will probably always remain but diminish over time. Of course, many people will still wish to own or lease a vehicle or need to travel outside of the greater transport zone, and skids are not the right ongoing solution for this. As part of the development of the Level 6 vehicle control system, handover and control protocols will be developed that allow manufacturers to incorporate this functionality into new vehicles that are equipped with electronic control of steering and motion. Because of the impending requirement to develop new vehicles that are all electric and because manufacturers are already planning in some form of future autonomous control, it is probable that the vast majority of vehicles will be capable of being made Level 6 compatible with minimal additional costs. Government incentives will probably be needed to ensure as a minimum that there is at least one option for each of the most common vehicle types. Moving goods into the central control zone with non-level 6 compliant vehicles can be accommodated during the pilots with a combination of dedicated, repurposed supply lanes and potentially time windows of operation. For more specialist and one-off requirements, these vehicles could be escorted and again potentially required to travel within prescribed time windows. Local services with specialist vehicle requirements that have an ongoing use, but that are not initially level 6 compliant, can be managed with appropriate route navigation instructions and location awareness. A subsequent national rollout plan will be enough to encourage all vehicle manufacturers to become Level 6 compliant, even if they remain dual control for use outside of the central zone. Choice will still be available, but for many of those that do limited mileage and infrequent outside zone journeys, first-class public transport and the occasional hire car will seem preferable to the costs and hassle of car ownership. There are significant benefits to the wider economy from the money saved by spending less on new vehicles, the majority of which are currently imported. In terms of operating the road and vehicle system, there are many models that could be adopted and a greater or lesser level of direct involvement by the local authority possible. One option would be for the operator to be from the private sector under license to the local authority and governed with an appropriate operating agreement. The operator would manage all of the facilities and vehicle fleet, oversee central planning and maintain the appropriate interfaces with the customers and suppliers. Given that the benefits associated with Level 6 system automation significantly exceed those from individual Level 5 fully autonomous vehicles, it does seem inevitable that Level 6 will happen over the course of time. The question is whether we can achieve that point faster by having a clear plan to do so instead of hoping industry might step in, which seems extremely unlikely unless orchestrated to do so, given the wide range of change required. Ironically, the technical complexity of Level 6 might be less than for Level 5 in terms of situational awareness and immediate directional calculations. No human drivers are in play, traffic rules and signage do not need to be interpreted, real-time data is gathered from all vehicles constantly and route calculations are undertaken centrally. The timescales are very uncertain. The wide-scale rollout of Level 5 autonomous vehicles might not ultimately lead on to Level 6 system automation for 40 years or more. With a plan and some front-end investment and government support, this could be accelerated by probably at least 20 years. So that's 20 years of the benefits previously outlined and global first-to-market competitive advantage. An overarching UK road transport strategy document published in 2019 contains a set of principles upon which a transport strategy can be tested. Level 6 automation aligns to all of these. The current government plan for autonomous and connected vehicles assumes a hybrid mix of autonomous and human driving, so therefore will not unlock the full benefits described, and it has no calculated expected outcomes. In broad strokes, an outline plan to deliver a couple of pilot cities starts with the development of a set of requirements and the associated tendering and contract processes designed to engage industry in developing the components previously considered. There is then a need to select the right pilots and therefore engage with the public and local authorities to find a way of ensuring there is good local demand. Regulatory changes will be required to reflect the new road rules for the pilot areas and potentially to enable private operatorship. Handover and control protocols will need to be developed and manufacturers encouraged to adopt. 1- and 2-person vehicles and skids will need to be designed. Production facilities set up and the pilot vehicles manufactured. A relatively complex integrated planning system designed and developed. Changes to infrastructure for the pilots planned and executed and the whole system tested before operation. Funding in the order of £3 to £6 billion over an 8 to 10 year period is likely to be required but can be recouped over the longer term assuming the pilots are successful. If you have strong informed opinions regarding the estimated costs, timescales or indeed high-level activities in the outline pilot plan, please add some comments. It is fair to say that the numbers are best guesses. However, given the relative size of the benefits, it is not expected that any additions will fundamentally alter the case for change. Longer-term investment should then be self-sustaining, in terms of manufacturing facilities, fleet vehicles and infrastructure. In the next video we will explore the benefits in greater detail and explain how they have been calculated.